Yeah, I come from a little bit of a perspective of not a bureaucrat. I'm a cherry grower. Actually, guess you can call it retired, because my brother and I have turned the operation completely over to the next generation so we can go to the beach. It's the first time I've been to the beach in 3 years, but then that's whatever. I think the prime emphasis I want to make is on the policy advisory committee and the role that districts play in that and others. And to do that, I think we want to go with introducing going back to the initiation of the whole program and where we come from, what our purpose is, what the purpose of the whole program is. It stemmed from the Clean Water Act at federal level, and it was supposed to be implemented by the states. And the Oregon went to the Environmental Quality Commission, take the responsibility and do DEQ administrate water quality in Oregon. And when that was being set up, again in about 30 years ago, in the early 90s, when it started to get the Oregon legislature to set up the statutes and whatever authorized the Environmental Quality Commission to handle the water quality programs. The ag industry decided that we didn't want DEQ talking and enforcing and dealing with ag water quality issues. And so we had there's a group of various people, the districts and interest in ag water quality, commodity groups, cattlemen, the Farm Bureau, nurserymen, and various others, lobbied with the legislature. And the reality was too, we ended up finding out that the DEQ didn't really want to go out and visit with the farmers either. There's a whole different animal of what they're dealing with. What they generally deal with is point source water issues, and ag water quality is a non-point source issue, which is a whole different animal. And they understood how they didn't want to send their people out, and their people didn't want to go out, meet with individual farmers and tell them what to do. They felt that was dangerous for some reason. And the farmers, most of us thought that we wanted to do the right thing, wanted to improve water quality. It was a major issue. And then there's reluctance of farmers that even want to do the right thing. They didn't want to have anything to do with government. Some of them still don't. Many of us still don't, but we still learn to deal with it. But anyway, we got the water quality section for agriculture was separated out, and as like Margana says, indicating adopting a new memorandum of understanding between the two agencies of what the actual requirements are being done currently. And that needs to be updated regularly. And then the memorandum hasn't been updated as regularly as the practices have changed. And that's why, as Margana indicated, that there was basically a major rewrite going on right now, just about to be finalized. The main thing is that it does leave the implementation to Department of Agriculture as long as it works and it's getting results. Now, everybody needs to remember is if we don't get results and we all just say, no, we're not going to do it, then the big hammer from somebody else comes down and DEQ, they either get called on the carpet or they call ag on the carpet and get them in line before the Environmental Protection Agency comes down on them. So it's going to happen if we don't like to think about that. And I think we've really spent much time thinking about that because the program has worked very well. Everybody is satisfied with the way it's going, even though the vast majority of what happens is on a voluntary basis. There's some enforcement action has been necessary over here, but it's not been very significant. The Policy Advisory Committee, well, I say the ag industry got the structure set up through the legislature, and that far back, the end of 1990s, started putting together the program. And some of us remember the early 2000s, started to go out to the counties, the areas, and the districts to help set up the local area plans and rules for the initiative. It took several years to get through that process. The biggest thing on that is to get people to participate. So Board of Agriculture, which I was on at the time, we decided we needed to have a committee to monitor the progress and how it's affecting, not just letting the bureaucrats in the department, not that we didn't get along with it really well, but we needed to have farmer input into how things were going. And so we formed this policy advisory committee, and initially then we added, so what we really need to do, we need to satisfy everybody, not just the farmers. We need to talk to the point source people. We need to talk to environmentalists and others. And we included those people on this policy advisory committee for the Department of Ag. And it's the structure that has basically remained the same the last 20 years. There's other industries involved, there's other groups involved, USDA, actually EPA has had a representative on the committee for many years. Everybody is really pleased with what is happening in general. There's certainly been disagreements over time. In fact, a few years ago, we had, when we got most of the local plans all settled in and going, and what to do next to get toward the strategic implementation areas, a little more getting to more detailed involvement. There were some concerns from the outside industry that industry could really do the job to get things cleaned up. And so there was a couple of years, we've been meeting on a semi-annual basis, twice a year. And for a while, we went to once a year, and then it turned out we better get back to twice a year because people wanted to get updated on a more regular basis. But those meetings that we've had, no decision making was involved, but the department presents what their plans are, and the department has always been interested in hearing what can be done better, how can we better massage, this is what we need to do, this is what we intend, what do you think, is there a better way to do it? And we've gotten good comments from the ag industry, we've got good comments from outside the ag industry and how to advance what we need to do. And I think that's the biggest benefit to the program. And the main thing that's been keeping it going is that the department has been very transparent about what they're doing internally, and having this policy advisory committee meeting at least once a year and generally twice a year to keep updated and give advice on how to go about implementing these programs and to not offend any districts or individuals any more than you have to. And I think it's worked very well. I think the main role that the districts play, but they've had representatives always in that policy committee. I also had input in wherever you want to come into the department. You've always had a year, except for the last few years. Karen's position has been a valuable position to have. It has been vacant for a few years, which I think has hurt the program to some degree. And in fact, Mark Gann had asked us to meet more often because we didn't have that contact with the districts as well as we have is when we have regular policy meetings. I think that's an important piece. If we want to maintain a voluntary compliance atmosphere and encouraging each other to do that and stay away from the enforcement piece, I think it's important to continue to have the good continual regular contact with the department on how things are going and what needs to be changed. And we've got to expect things are going to have to change as new information comes down the road and everything else. That it's just getting more and more important to keep closely informed of what's going on. That's about all I really had to have, except if you've got questions.